Good morning.
Hey,
How are you?
hey, buddy.
If you're banging on the door, you got to be careful because you break something, you're going to catch another charge. So be careful banging on those windows because they break very easily. All right. So you were Michael Jones. Mr. Jones, we're talking about you. So that's why I wanted to bring you out. It's only fair that you get to hear what's going on with your case. Your lawyer wants to challenge probable cause in this case. You're charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You are facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. That's what you're charged with. I don't know. So I'm going to have them read and we're going to do probable cause to see whether we're going to go forward or not. Okay? Okay. What happened?
On January 10th, 2025, the officers in official uniforms and riding in a marked patrol vehicle were dispatched to a disturbance at a residence in Harris County, Texas. The officer observed the defendant standing outside the location, being told to leave by the resident, to which the defendant refused by verbally yelling at the resident in a loud, aggressive tone of voice. The officer announced themselves and observed the defendant begin to walk away. The officer gave the defendant a verbal command to put his hands behind his back, and the defendant pulled his hand away. The defendant refused to comply with verbal commands, and the defendant held his arms to his chest as the officer attempted to detain him. The defendant continued to refuse additional commands to stop resisting and put hands behind his back. He yelled at the officer in an aggressive tone and shouted out loud, "Don't let them take me." The officer performed a leg sweep and continued to struggle in the defendant due to him pulling away. The officer began to roll around while on the ground and reached the officer's hands to prevent him from being placed in handcuffs. The officer continued to give commands, and the defendant continued to refuse.
I get it. But what's he doing? I mean, he's walking away. That's what they wanted, right? Just losing.
So, Your Honor, in this case, to read the full dim, it was the disturbance call, and they said they observed him standing outside the above location being told to leave, and they observed him verbally refuse.
Right, but then cops get up there.
And then they observed him begin to walk away. And it says they approached Jones and observed he was intoxicated in a public place based on his slurred speech, pupil size, and
Didn't say that.
That was in the complete dims, Your Honor. And then it's
About that?
an
Yes,
aggressive
Judge,
behavior.
but
Okay,
I
go
have my
ahead.
argument prepared. Judge, my argument is exactly what you started to say. There's some sort of disturbance. Somebody's asking him to leave. They're yelling and screaming at each other. Police coming up and saying, "Hey, I'm the police." You can walk away from that all day long. My client did walk away from that. My client's loud and emotional, as you can tell here today. You're allowed to walk away emotional, yelling, screaming, even using profanity in this state if you want to. Then the cops come up to him and suddenly there's an